Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. Oh my goodness, the patch notes actually dropped in the PTR server, not the main server just yet, but maybe when this video is live, it might already have been live. But anyway, let's just get right into it. So, we are going to talk about the new espers, and it's only going to be two new espers. IZANAMI is going to be one of the new espers, but IZANAGI, the male, will not be one of the new espers for this patch. So, the anniversary event itself spans across two different patches, I would assume. Well, at least according to the Meet the Team video that we watched just yesterday. So there's going to be two new espers. The first is going to be IZANAMI, also known as Yuuhime. So she's going to be a 5-star Inferno, and Yuuhime is a fighter with access to significant single target and AoE damage. Now the single target damage this part, I'm actually quite curious to know more about her multipliers because that completely makes or breaks one of her skills. Now let's take a look. So Yuuhime's first ability, Nether Jewel, deals damage to one enemy based on attack, gains immunity, and when having Hell's Hand, deals extra damage based on attack at the cost of all of Hell's Hand stacks. So what exactly is Hell's Hand? This comes from her third skill, which we will talk about really soon. So her second ability, Death Gate, deals damage to all enemies based on attack, inflicts defense down. So we have an AoE defense down Inferno type esper right now. Now when having Hell's Hand, deals extra damage based on attack at the cost of one Hell's Hand stack. So you're going to consume one of that stack to increase damage that you deal, but the difference between her first ability is that you're going to consume all of your Hell's Hand stacks and deal damage based on the number of stacks that you have. So her first skill could potentially hit really hard depending on how this scales with the Hell's Hand. And I think because she has like 14 hands, right? I think this probably caps off at 14 stacks in total, I think. Or maybe if you exclude her two actual arms, then that's going to be like 12 hands. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense, right? She might have a maximum of 12 stacks. No, wait, that doesn't actually make a lot of sense. Okay, never mind. Ignore what I just said. Now, moving on to her third ability, Beyond the Grave, deals damage to all enemies twice based on attack. The first hit inflicts disease, and the second hit reduces a certain percentage of the enemy's max HP before dealing damage. Gains a number of Hell's Hand stacks based on the total number of enemy debuffs. So, I think based on the way this is worded, this is based on the number of debuffs that the enemy has, regardless of the disease stacks that you apply at the start. So if the enemies already had like defense breaks, slows, stuns, all of that, that's gonna add to the number of stacks that you could potentially have, I think. Of course, this is all just based on assumption right here. But what I find very odd about her third ability is, the first is that you have a first hit that inflicts disease, and it's only the second hit that reduces the enemy's max HP. So in most cases, it would probably make more sense to reduce the enemy's max HP first before dealing damage. But in this case, because you deal damage first before reducing the enemy's max HP, you are effectively wasting your first hit, especially if your first hit is dealing about the same damage as the max HP reduction that you have on your second hit. Okay, anyway, Hell's Hand extends all of her buffs at the start of her turn, stackable with a limit. So the thing is, it extends only at the start of each of her turns. So after using her first skill, you're not going to have your buffs extended. And this is also a little bit interesting because this potentially means that you cannot perpetually extend invincibility buffs because you're going to consume the invincibility at the end of your turn unless you have another esper. For example, you had Alice on your team. Alice is going to extend the invincibility on you by one turn first, and then when you take your turn and you complete your turn, you still have at least one invincibility stack on you, so that when you take a turn again at the start of your turn, you can extend the invincibility effect one more time. Now next up, let's talk about her resonances. So Beyond the Grave, Overload. Beyond the Grave, final damage plus 10%, which is her third skill. And her R2, Death Gate, Morph new effect. Death Gate has a chance of dealing extra damage based on attack at a cost of one more Hell's Hand stack. So right now, it already consumes one of your Hell Hand stack, but this could potentially allow the second skill to hit a little bit harder. I'm not sure what the multiplier is, but if the multiplier is something crazy like 50%, then this is going to be a very big change. And of course, this will directly affect how powerful her first skill is. So if each of the stacks is going to increase your attack by, I don't know, maybe like 20 to 50% for example, that is going to increase the damage of your first skill by a significant amount. And her R4, Power Suppression, when Elemental Advantage damage plus 15%, this is pretty decent in PvP right now because she's Inferno type. And finally, R6, Nether Jewel. New effect, Nether Jewel has a chance of not consuming Hell's Hand while dealing extra damage. So using her first skill has a chance, I think it's probably going to be like 50% chance, that you do not consume all of your Hell's Hand stack over here. Now this is probably a hit or miss in my opinion because if you do not remove all of it, then yes, you're going to be extremely broken. You're going to continue extending whatever buffs that you have. You're going to continue dealing a lot of extra DPS, essentially for free because you're not going to consume any of the Hell's Hand stacks. So that's about it for her kit, and yes, she can be obtained from the Echo. Now I know I mentioned that she's probably going to be free, but based on this, she's obviously not free anymore. But then that also begs the question as to why they brought her up in the Holy Stone Tyrant and why did they mention that she's going to be there to support the allies, or for example, right, support the players That I'm not sure. It is still possible in the horizon that it might somehow make her R0 free, for example. I'm not actually very sure. Okay, but anyway, let's move on. Where do I think she's going to be good at? So I talked to a couple of players right now, and the most obvious idea is that she's going to be great in APEP just because she has 2 AoE attacks. So she could potentially cleave the first 2 waves very quickly, and she also has the defense break and the disease on her kit. But one issue that I have with her current setup is that she lands the disease first before landing the defense break. I do feel like landing the defense break is more important in ensuring that you have more consistent runs, but at the same time, if she starts off with the 3rd skill, the first wave is probably going to go nuke easily, and on the 2nd wave with the mid boss, this is where the defense break is probably more necessary so that you can quickly nuke down the mid boss a little bit easier. But I still feel like her defense break is probably the more important debuff to land at the start, which is not what we will see in her 3rd skill, which means that the moment you enter the boss wave, assuming that she has a 4 turns cooldown, she's not going to defense break the boss at the start. Instead, she's going to land a disease. And at the same time, she also afford 2 attacks onto APEP, which could be a little bit of an issue, but I do feel like in the long run, or like looking at a kit as a whole, I feel like she has more advantages in APEP than disadvantages. So these are the places right now, and of course there's also PvP where the wind type tanky meta is still rampant. But that's going to be Yuuhime. Let's move on to the next Esper. This is going to be a 4-star wind Esper. She is Ayin, also known as Pta. Now, Ayin's a support who can protect her teammates and amplify their damage when they are outside of their turns. So I'm not sure how she can amplify their damage. It's not actually mentioned in her kit. I'm not sure if this is a wording issue or not. But let's take a look at her skills. So first skill, Shock Beam. Deals damage to one enemy twice based on attack. Each hit has a chance of inflicting crit rate down. So we finally have a second Esper with the ability to land crit rate down. Unfortunately, she's a wind type, which means she's probably not going to be good in Chronos, maybe. And because of her multi-hits, she's probably not going to be good in APEP as well. So all that we are left with is Fafnir. Is it important to inflict crit rate down on Fafnir? It is, I guess, okay. Now her second ability, Force Barrier, gains standoff on herself and grants shield to Ayin's teammates, excluding herself. Now the shield strength is based on her max HP, which is really good. So it's something like Berenice, for example, right? Berenice also grants a shield to her entire team based on her max HP. Now Ayin's third ability, Maker Strike. This is a very interesting skill. So it deals damage to one enemy 3 times based on attack and max HP, and each hit has a chance of inflicting defense down. So this is going to be another skill that potentially has a really good proc chance of defense breaks, which is very good for Fafnir. And then you call in one random teammate to assist afterwards. This is potentially going to be really good in Shadow Gale as well. So having a lot of assists is really good, especially when using her with Ira. But at the same time, what's very important to take note of is she lands the defense break and then calling your ally to attack afterwards. So there's a potential that she might work really well with Yuuhime, because by forcing her to land a defense break first, you would then trigger, at least based on a random chance, to have Yuuhime assist with her first skill, and this is potentially where you can deal big single target damage. So there is going to be this one synergy over here. But of course, when it comes to skills with assist attacks, there is definitely a lot of various combinations and strategies that you can employ these specific Espers. Like Alice, for example, she's the best example, and there are so many ways that her assist attacks would improve the various strategies that you guys are already employing in the various content whatsoever. Now let's move on to her resonance. Let's start with her R2, Divine Resilience. When attacked by a critical hit, damage you receive minus 12%. R4, Resilient Spirit. When incapacitated, which is like when you're stunned, damage taken minus 18%. So these are like quite useless, right? But her R6, Force Barrier, now changes from granting shield effects to granting Ank's Blessing. I think this is called Ank. So what Ank's Blessing is, which I believe it's going to be a Silver Rim buff, it provides shield and increases resist for your entire team. Very nice. I mean, of course, this doesn't affect herself, but this is of course a unique buff, which means she is potentially really good in Shadow Gale as well. So if you need an Esper for Shadow Gale, this is probably going to be a really great free option, because this Esper can currently only be acquired in the event shop, which means she is possibly going to be R6 free as well. We are going to find out in like a couple of days. And only after a few seasons will she be then finally added into the Gold Record banner. Now there are no new content listed in the new features, which means there will not be Celestial Anomaly in this current update. Instead, Celestial Anomaly will come in the subsequent update along with Izanagi, where I think that is how we get him for free. Okay, so now let's move on to new event, Sea of Sorrow. This is essentially going to be the event that features the new Esper Yuuhime, and there's going to be like other rewards and all the usual stuff that we normally see in these events. But there's going to be 5 different chapters, which means I think this is going to be map clearing based, and there's probably going to be individual event maps where you can obtain certain resources or something like that. But we will know more in 2 days' time when we actually get to see the event for itself. But usually these events are typically the same, or at least it's just like a variation of each other. Now, next up, Withering Omen. So, countless Holy Stone Tyrants flood out of the Withering Miracle, posing a great threat to the city. Please go eliminate them right now. So not much is mentioned about what this is supposed to look like, but players can lower crisis points, whatever that is, by defeating bosses in the event trials during the event. Now, the Holy Stone Tyrants are supposed to be a server-wide event, where I think you're fighting a global boss, and in that case, it's going to be the Holy Stone Tyrants, but now they are saying that there is multiple Holy Stone Tyrants, so I'm not sure what exactly this means and what exactly this looks like. But the crisis points reduced by all players in the server will be accumulated in the rewarding progress. Now, players can claim progress level rewards such as gold records. Now, I don't think this is an individual basis. Instead, I feel like this is a server-wide effort. So as long as we're able to acquire a lot of the crisis points, everyone will be rewarded based on, like, I don't know, gold records or maybe other stuff as well. Now, next up, we have the Echo event for Yohime Izanami. I do feel like based on the kit that she has right now, she is potentially R0 friendly, but that really depends on how powerful her Hell's Hand buff is. If that has a really strong multiplier, then she might be R2. She might. But I really don't think so because it doesn't directly add to her damage. It is still adding based on a chance. Because as you can see here, her R2 effect has a chance of dealing extra damage based on attack at the cost of one of the stacks. So it only has a chance. So with that, because it's not guaranteed that you're going to eat up 2 of your Hell's Hand stacks for more damage, then I don't really like the inconsistency over there. Now, big news! So we have Unas in the Echo Shimmer, so he's going to be raised to 50% in the Shimmer banner itself. So if you were like me and you didn't have an Unas in the first place, this is going to be the best chance for you to get your first copy of Unas, or maybe, I don't know, your R2 copy of Unas, for example. This is the best time for you to use your Shimmer records. Apart from Unas, it's probably going to be Nusi or maybe even JJ. These are probably like the best choices right now. And this is, I think, very similar to the Valentine's Day event. And in fact, I think this is exactly the same as the Valentine's Day event, which would then mean that this is somehow related to the next event, which is the Sweet Wishes over here. I'm actually not super sure. Okay, but I don't want to get ahead of myself, so there is also the Flaming Echo here, which allows players to get legendary espers for free. So you can acquire rotary coins by first login, completing quests, or reaching the designated number of max activeness days. And the rotary coins can be used to draw espers from the non-shimmer legendary esper options. Basically, it's like the gacha that we talked about yesterday, right? And the player can select one esper from the options when the spin times reach the required number, which is 50 during the event. So I think it is going to be hard capped at just one single summon, or rather one single selection. But once again, I will only be able to confirm this in 2 days' time when the PTR server has this update going live. Alright, so next up we have the Sweet Wishes. Enjoy delicious cakes in the Burning Beat Fest to make a sweet memory. So I think this is going to be the stamina cakes. So during the event, help espers with their request to get their gifts as thanks and fest messages. Yeah, this is exactly the same thing. Fest cake tiers will unlock as the event continues, and players can accept requests of a tier when the unlock time is reached and all esper requests for the previous tier are completed. Now, requests are divided into 3 types. There is a mission, quiz, and item search. Complete a request to obtain rewards and the esper's message card, and complete a designated number of requests to claim a bonus progress reward such as the name card and gold records, for example. So in the Valentine's Day event, they actually had a skin for us, but I don't think there's going to be a skin attached to this event right now. Now, next up we have the Jigsaw Fest, and you can collect jigsaws to obtain epic espers. Now, during the event, players can get 1 attempt via the daily login. So every single day that you log in, you can piece together one of the jigsaw puzzles, right? Now, light up 3 jigsaw pieces on the horizontal or vertical line to obtain rewards such as gold records, nexus crystals, and gold. Now, light up the whole thing to choose a non-shimmer epic esper op pack based on a limited range. So I'm not sure what the limit is, but I hope that this limited range consists of espers that we cannot normally get for free. Like for example, right now, we can get Xiao In, we can get Li Guang, we can get a lot of different espers for free, like Sander, Dahlia, Essenath, for example. Okay, Essenath is shimmer type, but yeah. I hope this consists of espers that you cannot obtain, so like Longmian, Pritzker, and some others. Not Jiangman, because Jiangman you can select her if you're a new player, right? And then next up, we have the Flashback. So after the update, players can review their journey in Grandis over the past year and generate their Divine Label. Now, share your Divine Label to communities and get a chance to win a Dislyte merchandise. Oh my god. I need to get my shirt. I need to get my pullover right now. And next, we have Graffiti Wall, which is just something extra outside of the game itself. So create your very own Burning Beat Fest artwork, and you would be rewarded this way with like either a grand prize, excellent prize, or a participation prize. And the best works voted on by players will be displayed in the in-game notice section and become a permanent memory of Dislyte's anniversary. This is pretty cool. So for all the artists out there, this is going to be the event for you. Now, all the old skins will be back for about a month. So this is the Rave Skin event where all the previous skins that most players probably miss right now, they are going to be back, and they are of course going to be paid purchases. They are not going to be free. But this is great. So if you ever wanted some of those skins, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to get these skins. But as you can see, these do not include any of the warm-up skins. So there isn't a Liling skin, there isn't a Louis skin, and there isn't a Pritzker skin as well. So I think this event probably happens like maybe once every year because these skins will no longer be obtainable for a while after the event ends. Now I'm gonna skip much of the optimizations because they don't really matter all that much, I think. But there is one optimization that I want to focus on, which is number 7, optimize ability and status effects, descriptions for some espers. Now the concept of ally and teammate are separated. The optimization only applies to descriptions, the actual effects are not changed. And why are they separating ally with teammate? What exactly is the difference over here? What I feel like the difference is pertaining to co-op content. So like if you're going to talk about Shape Mother, for example, maybe an ally is different to a teammate. And I think this is exactly what they're trying to get at. So they're trying to clarify exactly how this is going to be different, but it probably doesn't really affect us right now. It probably only affects us when Shape Mother finally comes around, which is hopefully going to be in the next patch. But then again, I don't think so because we are probably going to get the Celestial Anomaly in the next patch. So I don't think Shape Mother is going to drop at the same time. I don't think so. And anyway, that's about it. So the M Pass is going to give us the Louis skin. That's about it. So that's it for the upcoming anniversary event. This is just going to be part 1 of the full anniversary event. Like I say, it spans over a period of at least 2 seasons, which is 2 different updates. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. How do you feel about the new espers? What are your thoughts about them and where do you think they're going to strive at? Let me know down in the comment section below. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Derry Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.